be paid in the amount of $1,129,424.58. Manual checks in the amount of $12,556.91. Payroll and liabilities for November 18th, 2022 in the amount of $490,574.69 for a total of $1,632,556.18.
Second.
Councilmember Salisbury made the motion, seconded by Councilmember Peranto. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Is there anything further that we need to discuss tonight?
Yeah, Madam Chair, I thought I'd just bring to your attention that included in your packet was the $880,000 for the Riverton Medical District as part of the half-cent tax. And included in your packet as well was their funding agreement. We've been in touch with the Riverton Medical District since they've received their grant funds and then, more importantly, their ARPA funds recently, and they would like distribution of the funds. One thing I want to bring to your attention is in their agreement, it states that the city is under no obligation to disperse funds until the hospital's construction is complete and a CO is given. That basically gives you the option. You can disperse them now or you can disperse them once it's built. In speaking with the medical district, they need the funds now in order to leverage the loans they're seeking and to start their process. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention that the council does have that option, that you could hold the funds until it's completed, but the district would appreciate it if they were dispersed now.
So do we need a motion for that? Okay,
We've already made the motion.
just, it's already been done, okay.
So any discussion, basically? And we've already,
No,
okay. All right. I don't think we,
Is there any reason not to approve it now?
No, Madam Chair, Councilman, I think we can approve it now.
okay. All right, with that, we adjourn at 6:47.
council to order at 7 p.m. Councilwoman Cox will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and the invocation will be given by Councilman Bailey.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our dearest Heavenly Father, thank you for the many blessings that we enjoy living here in this wonderful city of Riverton in the state of Wyoming. Please bless us in all that we do tonight, that we may make the best decisions for the citizens of the city of Riverton, that we will keep the interests of all of us in mind and do the best job that we can. Please pour out your blessings upon our first responders, police, and firemen. You will keep them safe while they protect us. We ask these things in the name of thy beloved Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. Would the city clerk please conduct roll call? Roll call.
Yes, Your Honor. Councilwoman Carla Borders.
Here.
Councilman Lindsay Cox.
Here.
Councilman Mike Bailey.
Here.
Councilman Dean Pronto.
Here.
Councilman Kyle Larson.
Here.
Councilwoman Christy Salisbury. Here. Mayor Richard Guard.
Here. I declare that we have a quorum present. The chair would entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Larson has the motion. Councilman Borders has the second. Any council discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Retirement recognition for Chief Murphy. In the last 4 years, I have had the opportunity to speak with and work with Chief Murphy on almost a daily basis, and some days longer than that, huh? And so he was the first person that came and congratulated me on getting elected, and then asked what he wanted me to do to accomplish what we were going to get done. And so over that time period that we spent together, we had the opportunity and enjoyed each other's company. And I really want him to know how much I appreciate him and how much I think of him and how much I think he's adjusted the character of Riverton, Wyoming. Thank you. Along with that, Scott Comers and I, we were raised together in the same Logan Park neighborhood. And Scott's always been, except for that goatee, has always been really quite impressive over the years. And we used to shoot each other with BB guns, where we had our most fun. And he called and said that the police department had a special gift that they wanted to present to the chief, and we'd like to present that to him right now. Scott, do you have anything you'd like to add?
I would like to say a few things on behalf of people that I've worked with and the people in this room that are in law enforcement and who have been in law enforcement, like our new Public Works Director. We're grateful for Chief Murphy for the time that he has put into this profession, to this community, and to our country. We're grateful for the hard work that he's shown and the things that he's done to try to make this community a little better. We all appreciate that, and we want you to know that we especially thank you for your time and your efforts. I would like to have the officers present and the past and former officers of the Riverton Police Department. Anybody else who would like to join in shaking hands with Chief Murphy on his retirement, to please stand and let's give him a round of applause. And
Scott did cut my hair for 20 years.
Officers, if you'd like to come up and shake hands, we'd appreciate it.
Good for him.
Comers makes me cry every time.
Thank you. Of course.
Sir. Thank you.
Yes, of course.
Thank you.
Before I go back up to my soft chair, we have the oath of office for Brian Eggleston that we'll do right now, so. Do solemnly affirm that I will support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States.
I, Brian Eggleston, do solemnly swear to support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States,
Constitution of the State of Wyoming,
Constitution of the State of Wyoming,
and that I have not violated the law related to my appointment
and that I have not violated the law relevant to my appointment
or caused it to be done by others,
or caused it to be done by others,
and that I will discharge my duties with fidelity.
and that I will discharge my duties with fidelity.
Thank you.
Thank you. You don't need my picture.
No, And one day you dress up and wear a tie.
Congratulations. Anybody cried?
I've gone for the picture.
Thank you. Thanks, Scott.
Congratulations.
That's Brian.
Oh, I got to sign it. Sixth. Yeah, if I read down here, maybe.
communication from the floor, citizens' comments. Anyone in the audience wanting to address the council regarding an item that has been scheduled for a public hearing will be given the opportunity to speak during that public hearing. Anyone wishing to address the council on another item may speak now. I would ask those individuals who wish to address the council at this time to approach the podium and identify yourself for the record. Hi, guys. Can you tell us your names?
I'm Mara. I'm Mara Arbogast. I'm Cooper Bodice.
Thanks for coming. What could we help you with tonight?
We're sharing our idea on our food drive that we were doing.
Mm-hmm. It's a great idea. What's your idea?
Well, we actually already did it, as in everybody, we would take food to Eagles Hope and the food pantry on that part. And we're still doing another one on where we're getting hats and socks and mittens, and we're giving them to Eagles Hope.
Fantastic. We really appreciate that. That's a good thing to do. Thanks for doing that. You want to come around and shake all the council's hand? Can you reach up this high? Or do we need to come down there?
Your Honor,
Yes.
I just have a question. Do you need help? Do you still need more help?
Everything will be appreciated at that part, so why not?
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Can they come behind and,
They could come back.
yeah. Bethany, have them come behind.
Cooper, go this way.
Thank you, sir.
That's why I invented a typewriter. That's my handwriting.
It's really sweet.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Is there anyone else that would like to speak to the council?
That's really cool. Good afternoon, gentlemen and ladies. My name is Jose Pro. I've been here before. I've talked to Mayor Gar. I've talked to Mr. Butterfield about our road conditions out there on All Nations and how they get pretty bad out there. The other day I called Public Works, explained the situation coming from Arapahoe to Smith Road and how it was pretty bad and you couldn't really stop. And you would slide all the way to the main road. And well, within about an hour and a half, they did a great job. They came down there, took care of it, sanded it down, and I appreciate that. I really do. But there is more work to be done out there. And as we're now knowing, or now that I do know that you're leaving, I hope we do get, or I do get to know the other new mayor that's coming in and still keep our agenda of trying to get something done over there and get into a better place. And we definitely do need that. It's important to me. I lobbied for, and the people that live there lobbied to get the streets down to 15 miles an hour. There's a lot of kids out there that play. So I really do appreciate you, Mr. Gar, Mayor Gar, for helping us out there. And that's one thing that I just wanted to come out and say to you before you left office.
Thank you. Appreciate
All
it.
right. Thank you all for helping out.
Tom Earhart, 807 Riverview Road. I'm here again to complain about traffic, speeding, and stop sign violations, red light runners. I know you guys put up that speed sign, and it took 2.5 weeks after the batteries went dead on it before they come and removed it. So that tells me how much watching they're doing in this town. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. Appreciate it. Anyone else like to address the council?
Well, we didn't get on the agenda, so we're hijacking the public comments a little bit, but a group of us got together and just wanted to thank Mayor Gard and tell him how much we appreciate everything he's done for Riverton, for the community for the past 4 years, and a lifetime before that. I don't think I've met a public officer, I think, that could have more heart and soul into his community and doing what he loves, and we just love you for it. We really appreciate it. We had to dress in purple, it's his favorite color, and we're gonna, anybody that would like to. Please jump up and say
So I'd like to add to that. So I started working with, I'm sorry, I call you Rich, Mayor Gard. I started working with Rich in 2019, the summer of 2019, when we did the RHS all-class reunion, and invited him to a meeting, and I think I've seen him at every meeting that I've been to in town since then, numerous meetings. I was the CAP chair for the 1.5% economic development, which Rich was a little driver in getting that out there. And as I was campaigning, which that was my very first time campaigning, I got to hear all of the complaints, the issues, the concerns that people had. And it was kind of funny how you had to trade off a vote for hearing what their concerns were. And every concern I had, I reached out to Rich, and he immediately contacted all those people and got back with them. And while we were campaigning for him and his reelection, that was the same thing. He's basically reached out to everybody in this community. He's got a 24/7 open door policy. He's been there for all of us in this community. And I just want to thank him personally for everything that he's done. He kept us open during COVID and just told us to keep moving with everything, supported everything that we had going on in this community. And that's not without the support of Deb. Deb is part of that team. So between the two of you, we appreciate you, love you. We're going to miss you. But I did ask Rick when we were campaigning for him, I said, okay, my question to you is, we're going to fight for this, but if you don't win, that means you're still going to be involved in the community. So I'm putting him on the spot right now. I'm still going to be involved in the community. So, thank you.
So it just says, Mayor Richard Gard, cleaning up, building up, and standing up for it.
Does that mean no more council meetings?
No, I don't think it means that.
Oh.
All right, Rich, I'm going to get started before you get sat down. I'm Kathy Klein, and if any of you guys have seen me around town the last couple weeks, I've been doing a happy dance because I am sort of kind of retiring, and that's really cool for me. But in the time that I have been here in Riverton and the time that I've been at Job Corps, Mayor Rich Gard has been a good friend to us. This council, the city of Riverton have all been a good friend to us at Job Corps. Rich for other things, Wind River Visitors Council, hospitals, so many other things. You've been so supportive. And I'm just really grateful for that. And I want to say so. And I'm kind of with Julie. I want you to know that even though I am going into my little retirement world, I intend to stay engaged. And I expect you to also. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to address the council? Seeing none, would the city clerk please read the consent agenda items by title only?
Yes, Your Honor. Approval of the minutes, November 1st, 2022, regular council meeting. Approval of the minutes, November 7th, 2022, special council meeting. Approval of the minutes, November 7th, 2022, executive session. Approval of the minutes, November 15th, 2022, finance committee meeting. And approval of the finance committee recommendations. Excuse me, that should not be for November 15th. That should be for December 6th. And approval of the finance committee recommendations for December 6th, 2022.
Thank you. Are there any further items that need further discussion?
Your Honor, the Finance Committee met earlier this evening and approved the considerations to be of claims to be paid in the amount of $1,129,424.58. Manual checks in the amount of $12,556.91. Payroll and liabilities for November 18th, 2022 in the amount of $490,574.69, for a total of $1,632,556.18.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Peranto has the motion. Councilman Bailey has the second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Is there any discussion before we go there?
Your Honor, I just want to let everyone know that that approval was for the $880,000 to be dispersed to the Riverton Medical District, so we can get going on the hospital sooner.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Before everybody filters out, I wanted to get rid of those business items before we start the items of business tonight, which are very few. You know, what makes Riverton special is the people that live in Riverton. And we're a small group, and yet we're the 9th largest city in the state of Wyoming. And so if we think that we can do it, we usually can do it. And so I appreciate the efforts that people have put in, hours and hours of time, and the ability to think of things that are maybe next to impossible to do and able to get them done. And so if we're not positive about those things, the next thing we know is we're not able to even have clarity of thought. And so I appreciate the hospital. You know, it's on my, you can wait till the very end of the meeting. That's usually where they let me talk. And I'd be glad if you stayed. But so I don't miss thanking you for coming and for most of all, for the help that you put out to make Riverton what it is. And it has a whole lot less to do with me and more about the people that live in Riverton and how willing they are to make Little League baseball work, to make Legion baseball work, to make the hospital be part of what everybody doesn't think could happen. And so I just don't think there's any way to pull all that credit together if we just don't understand that it comes from the mass and from the group. And I really do appreciate everyone that lives in Riverton, and my door and my phone number will always be available to you. I don't know that I have the stroke any longer, but if you need something, don't hesitate to call. I got Kyle's phone number, and I can certainly call and complain. And so I think that it's important that we understand that if we don't ask, we don't ever get what we would like to have done. And so often the answer to the problem is to simply ask and see what we can do to put our back into the effort and make it work. And so I appreciate the time I've spent as the mayor. It's been totally enjoyable on my side of that. I appreciate my wife. I didn't know, I left her at home, that's where she was supposed to be, and she even told me that she was going someplace else. So I'll have to check her calendar a little bit better. But I do appreciate the willingness of people in this room to put their efforts forward and to make Riverton the special place that it truly is. And that's just the fact of the matter, and I appreciate those things that you've done, and we'll look for opportunities to do others. So I don't think I can get unengaged. I've been here for 60, let's not go to exact dates, but for a long time. And Riverton needs to have support and needs to be engaged, or we will stagnate and won't do the things that need to be done. And I appreciate your efforts, and thank you for coming. Thank you more so for the things that you've done for me when asked in the past. So thank you very much. What we really should probably do is give you guys applause and not me. So let's do that. So I know how this works. If I didn't get that in really quick, some of our stuff, some people think is boring. It's really important, though. And so we'll continue, and you're welcome to stay till the very end. We'd love to have you, and we'll proceed. We're going to consider the sale of surplus vehicles to the town of DuBois, Wyoming. Public Works Director's report, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. In front of you tonight is basically a request from the mayor of DuBois to purchase surplus vehicles that we have in our fleet still. They're out of service at this point. They're in dire need of major repairs, but they both do run. Tonight, following the statute in front of you, basically says that in the terms that the governing body sets, without advertising the sale or calling for bids after a public hearing, and posting or publishing it once a week for 3 consecutive weeks, the council may sell property to any political subdivision in the state. As you can see in the report, the low retail value for the first vehicle is an F-350 Ford dump truck, 1990. Low retail on it is $2,605, which is still extremely high. The second vehicle would be a 1999 Dodge utility truck. Its low retail value is $2,775. And it as well as that price is very high for the condition the vehicle's in. We would recommend the city sell these vehicles for $5 each to the town of DuBois, although that is up to the governing body to set the terms of the sale if they agree with that. Be a great gesture on our part for a sister community in the county, and with the low upfront purchase, they probably can afford to throw some money at them and make them functional for their community.
Thank you. We appreciate that. The chair would entertain a motion to direct staff to begin advertising for the sale of one 1990 Ford F-250 dump truck and one 1999 Dodge 2500 utility truck to the town of DUBOIS for $5 each. The terms of the sale shall be cash or certified funds at the time of closure. I don't know, don't we have to have something more secure than that? The town of DuBois must collect the vehicles and the transfer of titles will be completed upon the receipt of payment. So I need a motion if I could get that.
So moved, Your Honor.
Second.
Councilwoman Borders has a motion. Councilman Bailey has a second. So we probably should have some discussion if anybody wants in. Anybody have any discussion to add? I really do appreciate staff, and I think this wasn't generated by me or any council, I don't believe. Did anybody start this ball? So what we've done in Riverton, because we are the largest community in Riverton, we have made an effort constantly to assist our smaller communities. And we have we have a past mayor that can testify to that from Pavilion, and we're doing our very best to make sure that all of those municipalities have the services that they need to be successful, and that we can share what we have and make it work for the communities. We really do appreciate, these aren't stellar pieces of equipment, and DuBois Mayor Myers will take these and put a lot of love and care and a lot of parts in them and get some more years out of them, I hope. And so I appreciate staff suggesting this. I did check when it came to me. I wanted to know who got the $5, and like usual, Mia gets the $5, all $10. And so I would suggest that I agree with the recommendation of staff that we move forward. If there's any other discussion, we'd be open to hear. Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion passes. Optional half-cent economic development update. City Administrator, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just bear with me as I connect the laptop. And I would say, Mayor, I'll always take your call if you want to complain. But I'll take it too if you want to give us compliments.
And I will do that.
Okay. Sounds like a deal. So I thought tonight would be a great opportunity to report back to the City Council about the half-cent economic development tax. And also to the community that's watching and those in the audience. This is a very positive thing that has impacted our community, and I want to make sure that the people who did vote for this see how the money, at least in Riverton, is being used, and hopefully they feel confident that it's being done in a way that's appropriate and responsible. So we're talking tonight about economic development. This is a great canned definition of economic development. In fact, I stole it from Kevin Kersiznik's presentation. But basically, economic development is the cultivation of activities that create a net gain of money into the community. That's one definition. I think it should be noted that there are several strands and different definitions when it comes to economic development. And I think our community sees the value in economic development. And that's why across the county, this optional 0.5% tax was passed. And I should note that one reason that it's a good time to report back to you is we're ending the calendar year, but we're also ending the first 2-year collection period. And then also, this marks the turnover or end of service of our Evolve, Diversify, and Grow Our Economy Committee, the EDGE Committee. So I think it's good to report back before we get too deep into the holiday season and start a new calendar year. This is another thing I stole from Kevin, and I think he would be disappointed if I didn't underline this, and you should have seen this before, but according to the Wyoming Economic Development Association, there are several building blocks that we need to pay attention to when we look at growing our economy, sustaining our economy, and taking actions to do both. I know it's a little bit hard to read, but basically it's a cyclical process, and each one of these blocks can work together and renew each other as communities work towards it. So there's obviously new business recruitment, there's existing business development, innovation, and entrepreneurship, there's education and workforce development, infrastructure development, community and quality of life, and then leadership, civic development, and the role of public policy. All of these building blocks work together. And while at some different points in time we focus on one of the building blocks over another, the important point is they feed and they cycle to each other. So just another definition of economic development. Before we get into the full report on what's happened with the optional half-cent funds, I think it's important to go back through some of the mechanics. It's been a while since this tax was taken to the people and passed. And so I think we should look back, see what's on the ballot initiative, how it got to the ballot, and then we'll go through a few of the other mechanics after it did receive the positive vote. Way back in March, you as the City Council expressed your support for this half-cent optional tax, primarily because you see the need for economic development in Riverton and Fremont County. There's the resolution to prove it, but you don't have to read it. The most important thing from that resolution is it gives the verbiage for the ballot. This is what the community voted on. I won't read all of it, but in red, I think it's important to bring out and denote what was put on the ballot language and how it defined economic development efforts, especially with these half-cent funds. So it basically states economic development shall be defined as any project that first, one, retains and increases employment, and two, and or results in a net gain of money into the community. So this tax was meant to focus on ways to bring jobs, reinforce jobs, and grow jobs in our market, and then two, bring money into our community. The next thing is that, again, there are some mechanics with this tax. 30% of the net proceeds of the tax shall go towards transportation infrastructure, and specific to this ballot language is commercial air service. The remaining 70% will be allocated to the county and the 6 municipalities, based on population. And then it states to manage and invest in economic development projects of their choosing. So the remaining 70% is up to the governing body to reinvest in their respective communities pursuant to the definition that was in the ballot language. The Fremont County Association of Governments was heavily involved in this effort. There are several in the community that were as well, and a lot of them are in our audience tonight. And rather than embarrass them and maybe even miss somebody, I think it's just important to note there were a lot of people that helped make this thing come about. When it comes to the Fremont County Association of Governments, they realized that they needed to work together and have a common vision for this optional half-cent tax once it was passed. The way they did that was through a memorandum of understanding, an MOU, and that was December 18th of 2020. You can read what's there, but the important points of that MOU is of the 30% that's meant for transportation, 20% of it will be distributed to the City of Riverton to support commercial air service, the minimum revenue guarantee that's associated with our capacity purchase contract with SkyWest Airlines. So each community, through this MOU, agreed that 30% that goes towards transportation, 20% of it would be for air service. The remaining 10% would go to FCAG to use for ground transportation, and it allows for FCAG to have some judgment, whether it goes to the Wind River Transit Authority, WRTA, or other ground transportation entities that may submit proposals to FCAG. So FCAG has leeway there. So of the 30% in the ballot language, by MOU, each of the communities said we'll take 20% to support air service and 10% to support ground transportation. In the MOU, it then states that the remaining 70%, again, will be distributed to the remaining populations. And then it also states that each of these entities have the right to create a committee. And it's basically a citizen committee to help steer the use of these funds and represent the people. In the MOU, it states that they will receive and review all submitted economic development project proposals for their respective municipality. And then based on the needs of the community, the economic impact, the net inflow of cash, and retaining and growing jobs. So again, there's the mission. By this MOU with FCAG, that's the mission. These committees will make recommendations to their respective governing bodies. So and then there's another thing I didn't put in here, but maybe I should have. Everybody agreed not to put these funds in their general fund. They're in a separate account, and that again is so that the public has confidence that these half-cent tax dollars that are collected stay for the purpose of economic development. And they don't get mixed in with the respective general funds. From that MOU, what Riverton did is establish the EDGE Committee. If you want to blame somebody for coming up with that darn acronym, it was me. I thought it was kind of cool. We want to be on the cutting edge of development. But then I realized the EDGE has another connotation, so Your Honor, you can change that if you so choose. We just got to do a resolution. Anyway, so it established the EDGE Committee. You, as a governing body, established the EDGE Committee via Resolution 1422 in September of 2020. So what is the purpose of EDGE? This is what you outlined in the resolution. So it's to advise the mayor and the council on priorities for the use of revenues generated by the optional 0.5% tax. The committee has 7 members. There are 2 alternates that's set up by the resolution. It states that myself, previously Tony, or a designee would also be an ex officio member of this committee. And then pursuant to the bylaws adopted by EDGE, the committee members serve for a 2-year term. And as I mentioned, that 2-year term is now coming to an end. So what a great time to have a bookend and report back to you of their hard work. So I mentioned their hard work. So what has EDGE done with the funds that have been really promised by the populace and collected by the governing bodies? EDGE received 23 applications for review across 3 different advertising periods over that 2-year period. From those 23 applications, $4.15 million of requests were made, with only $1.2 million available for that collection period of 2 years. So requests were 346% above the monies that were available. Another way to put that is the awarded applicants represented 29% of the requested funds. So 1.2 was available to be allocated, and there was 4.15 million in requests. What a hard job for these community members. I think they did a wonderful job reviewing each one and making recommendations to you as the governing body. I love this next one. If you look at projects associated with the received applications, there's $78.77 million worth of projects that were requested to be completed. So 4.15 was requested of the tax, but clearly these entities also had matching funds to create some type of improvement in our community to the tune of 78 million, almost 79. I want to point out that the awarded applicants represent 93% of this $78 million worth of improvements. So the 4 that were awarded represent $73 million worth of improvement in our Riverton community. I think this committee did a good job taking care of the big rocks this first 2 years. And I'm excited to see what the next 2 years bring. So the project associated, of the awarded applicants, 56% of the total requested funds represent those that were awarded. So the awarded applicants requested 2.34 million of the 4.15 requested. And another way to look at it is these applicants also didn't get everything they were hoping for, so they requested for 2.34. And again, we only had 1.2, I say EDGE had, and you as a council had 1.2. So 51% of even the awarded applications is what was given. So by the numbers, I expect you to memorize this, and everybody in the audience as well.
Be a test after we're done.
That's true. So get ready, court. All right, so here's your 23 applications, and I want to point out a couple things. And oh man, I went to Walmart before this meeting and bought a laser pointer. So how about that, if I can get it to work? I can.
So you'll notice that here in this column is the amount requested. This represents the project total. I referenced that 78 million before, that 4.15 before. Here's the percent of the total. So some of them, again, asked a large part of their project. The ones that were awarded, CWC Equine Center, it was 2% of the overall project is what they were requesting from the half-cent funds. For the medical district, based on their application, it was 3% that they requested. Here we go, down here to Kafaru, they did receive 100% of what they asked, but it was 4% of their total project. And then with the Fremont Air Service team, it was 6% of what they had for their entire project. And here again is the percent of the request that was approved. So the CWC Equine Center was given 22% of what it requested from EDGE. Medical district was 55%, they asked for 1.6, and again tonight, that allocation is being distributed at 880,000. Kafaru was 100% at 880, excuse me, it's a long day. 80,000. And then 140,000 to support air service of the 209. Again, this kind of shows, I think, how the funds were used. Of the awarded applicants, 93% went towards that overall total. So what was awarded are some pretty big projects that I believe will make an impact to our community. Before I move on, I do want to make note that Marissa Selvig is in the audience, and she was the chair of the EDGE committee. I want to thank her for her service and for the others on that committee. So here are the four that, yeah, let's do that. So there were 4 awarded projects as mentioned, and that was recommended to you by EDGE and then approved by the governing body. You have the authority on that. The Riverton Medical District, we've kind of gone through some of this, but the population they estimated serving was 22,000. The jobs supported from the construction of the facility was, all right, I'm going to stop playing with the laser. Sorry. Too fun. All right, 95. And then jobs supported from the completed project is 14 medical providers, 45 nurses, 80 technicians and administrators, et cetera. The economic impact from their third-party study showed a 25.6 million annual economic activity from the hospital, and then 711,000 generated from state and local taxes from that facility. Clearly, that met the definition in the ballot language: jobs and money to the community. Central Wyoming College, this is for their equine center. The total project cost at the time of the application was $18 million. They were awarded by you as a council $100,000. Their application showed that a population would be served of 3,500. And then essentially what they brought to light in their application was the fact that Wyoming, and specifically Fremont County, is horse country. And I believe it's President Tyndall's intention to maximize that and reach out from an economic development standpoint on the assets that we have in Fremont County, and that's a lot to do with those that enjoy equestrian activities. Again, there'll be a test on this. I expect you to read it all. The Fremont Air Service team made a request in addition to the 20% that was allocated through the ballot language and the FCAG MOU. Why did FAST ask for more money if they were already getting 20%? And I think that's an appropriate question to ask. The answer to that is the new contract year with SkyWest Airlines for the state of Wyoming significantly increased the block hour cost. So when the model was put together for this half-cent tax, it was based on the contract that was in place the first 3 years of the capacity purchase agreement. Because of the negative impact of COVID-19 on the transportation industry, costs increase. Because of the incredible, not positive, but the incredible increase we see in oil prices, that contract cost increases. Because of the restriction there is on pilots, mechanics, first officers, flight attendants, etc., the cost for that increased. And as a reminder, I won't go through this, but we are charged in that contract per a block hour rate. And the second period of the contract almost doubled that block hour rate. So the model, when it was proposed, was accurate, but the variables changed. As much as we all loved COVID, nobody could predict that it was going to happen, and no one could see what would happen to really any industry. There have been a lot that have been adversely affected. Fremont Air Service team did believe, however, it was appropriate to ask the governing body to use some of their additional 70% discretionary funds. And the reason are those numbers there. This is based off of a study that Wyoming Aeronautics performed. It was a third-party group that did an economic impact study, which reported that commercial air service specific, not just the airport, commercial air service at Central Wyoming Regional Airports supports 104 jobs in our community. There's an economic impact of $24.2 million in annual activity. There's also a study that for every $1 spent for the minimum revenue guarantee or that contract for capacity purchase, there's $4.19 in direct return to our community. And then there's a breakdown of some other of the impact shown by the study that WYDOT Aeronautics performed. Creates jobs and brings money to our community. And I am biased on this, and I will admit it, but I fully believe that connectivity drives economic development. We live in a rural state, and we love living in a rural state. The services we rely on, the quality of life that we want, needs connectivity. Commercial air service is one of those. I'm off my soapbox. Okay, the last was QUORUM International. At the time of the application, QUORUM hadn't relocated all the way here. So this was a huge part in ensuring that we welcomed them to our community, that they received the support they needed. They reported that there was a $2 million need for them to relocate to Riverton, Fremont County. They asked for $80,000, and again, they were the only applicant that was awarded their full request. I think we're all pretty familiar with what QUORUM does, but I think it's important to note that even in their application, they were demonstrating a business plan and model that showed expansion. They want Riverton, Wyoming to be their campus, not just to distribute the wares that they sell, but eventually, I think they want to bring a lot of their operation in-house, including manufacturing. So they have future plans for Riverton, and I think this recommendation from EDGE appropriately supported them in getting them to Fremont County. All right, so what's the current status? And this is my last slide. But the current status of the half-cent account, and I want to thank Mia Harris for her work on this. I won't even pretend that I pulled this information together. She did, and she watches this all the time. So this is what Riverton, City of Riverton has collected, 1.2 and change. That represents the 70%. Air Service has received from the other entities 1.2 as well for that minimum revenue guarantee. That's the 20%. And then the ground transportation, this is Riverton's portion. The Air Service is cumulative. The ground transportation portion is $172K. If you go to the table in the bottom right, this basically shows that of the funds that were awarded, the majority of them have been allocated or distributed. Some of that happened tonight. We fully anticipate bringing the CWC request to you at the next business meeting, so on December 20th, that'll go through your finance packet. But there's 1.2 million right there, and I think there's a positive impact. I do want to note that we've, I guess, outperformed. Our community has outperformed the original projection of 1.2. There's still one more month to collect and report, but as of right now, there's almost $10,000 of funds that have not been allocated for this 2-year period. And again, we'll have another month to add on to that. So I want to just again say thank you to the EDGE committee. I want to say thank you to you as a council, and really to our community for agreeing to tax themselves. Taxes are never popular. No one likes to pay taxes, but I think as a community, everybody banded together and said, we want to buy into Riverton, we want to buy into Fremont County and support growth. I will end it there. As I mentioned, oh man, I'm sorry, Marissa. Ms. Selvig is in the audience, and I'm sure she would be able to answer any questions if you had them. Thank you.
Thanks, Kyle.
Honorable Mayor, distinguished council and staff, I just have been very honored and privileged to serve as the chair of the EDGE Committee for these last 2 years. And there are many members of the EDGE Committee in the audience. Please raise your hand. I know that Mr. Butterfield acknowledged you, but yes, 1, 2, and 3. So we just thank you so much. This is totally a team effort on the EDGE Committee, and we worked very hard, being the first EDGE Committee here dealing with this half-cent economic development tax. We worked very hard on making sure that we were being fiscally responsible with these tax dollars. That's something that we talked about often in our meetings, that we wanted to fund projects that were going to be the big rocks, as Mr. Butterfield said, things that were going to bring a lot of economic activity and jobs to the community. And knowing that now, that we have $9,000 more, that's pretty exciting. So we'll get to start off next year with some money involved. So that's great. We can potentially open up another round of requests. That would be awesome. So, I'm happy to answer any questions, but I know I don't want to take up too much time. But I just wanted to say thank you on behalf of the EDGE Committee. Those of us who are reapplying to serve again would humbly request that you reappoint us when we turn in our applications. So thank you very much.
Thank you. This is a real success story, and Kevin's in the audience. Kevin, would you stand up? Kevin Krasnick was brought this to FTAG, and FTAG is a unique organization to Fremont County. It is not found anywhere else that I know of. It's not easy to get all of the mayors to agree to what needs to be done. And to be real frank, it wasn't a total agreement. We looked at a full cent tax, we looked at a quarter-cent tax, we looked at a half-cent tax. We looked at many different options, and they were brought to us mostly by Kevin. And so Kevin needs a lot of credit for putting this together. And then we had to jump the next hurdle.
It was a community effort. And Julie Bowler on the back, everybody in this room participated. And I agree, it's a great success. And thank you for pushing it through on FCAG.
Yeah.
So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. And there's lots and lots of people in this room tonight that had the push that made this work. Also, our FAST board, which I in the past got to serve on, the first FAST board. I think I would look around the room, I see 4 members of FAST, at least 3 in the room. And so if we don't have the community's support and help from behind all of these things, we don't get this stuff done. And this is very much an example of how the community has been able to pull together, the mayors pull together. We can't say that for the commissioners, can we? And so we did what we had to do, and so we need to understand that we have great sway and the ability to make changes if we think we can. And so this is a good example, and Kyle, thanks for putting it together. I don't, you can do anything with numbers, right? But you did a wonderful job, and I appreciate, Kyle has been on the ground level of this. From the public works side of this, he sees it every day in his position that he's been with us for 8 years. And to be real frank, I know the bus will not survive if we don't pass this again, and the airport is in dire condition. Every time we save the airport, I've seen it saved 4 times now, something else happens. The gas price goes up, the pilots don't get on the plane, the co-pilots don't have enough hours, the plane costs too much to fly, and company folds. And we actually went out and created Denver Air Connection and what a good job it was. And so I just think lots of times we don't sell ourselves well enough, and the things that we do positively in the community. And if we don't keep these facilities moving forward, we are going to be stagnant community. And I don't want to put any names associated with that, but I can point that out to you on a number of places on the maps of Wyoming. And so the airport, the bus, the hospital, the ability to draw people to Wyoming that want to bring jobs is monumental. And everybody should appreciate the effort that's been put in. And a lot of the people in the audience are the ones that have done that tonight. So thank you very much.
Your Honor.
Yes.
I just want to say I appreciated that the council, and the mayor, and the Edge Committee didn't just sit on the money and got it figured out in a timely manner so these could happen. I really appreciate it. And so on that note, it looks like we're making around a little more than $100,000 a month. So you guys have a month to spend $109,000, so you might as well open them up now. No, just kidding.
Well, and
I appreciate it.
we never say this enough, but the airport survives off of the full county, and most of the ridership comes outside of Riverton. And all the time that I've been the mayor, we have exceeded our forecast for sales tax. And that is the public that is supporting that. Riverton didn't just shrink and move backwards, it moved forwards. And we appreciate that. And I think that's a testimony to what we have tried to accomplish. And it's very much part of what the people have done, not what we've done. So, is there any other comments?
May I say one more thing?
Please. Yes.
Thank you again, folks. I just wanted to actually address the community that's in the audience and the council, and also people who might be tuning in online. Please, our meetings are open to the public, and we have rarely had a community member come to our meetings. And we would love to do that because I think sometimes there's some miscommunication and there's some talk around the community that we are not doing our jobs properly. And I would encourage you to come and hear our discussions and hear the awesome businesses in Riverton that are presenting their business ideas to us. And then hear our conversations about why or why not we are discussing whether to fund them or not. So I would really extend that invitation to the council and the community. Thank you.
Thank you. So for information, what we're going to do now is do our roundtable really quick, and we'll go through each council member and city administrator and myself. We do have an executive committee, an executive session tonight, so we'll pause and go into that executive session. But before we do, I would suggest that we take 10 minutes or so and work our way through the crowd that's still here and pass out the thank yous that you guys deserve. And so this shouldn't take us a whole lot longer to get through these comments if you'd like to stay. So if that's, everybody has that information, let's go to council committee reports. Christy, could you start us?
I was not able to make the chamber meeting last Thursday. I was snowed out, couldn't get back, so I do not have anything to report on that. I did have a meeting with President Tyndall and some of the community members about ideas for some big activities at the Equine Center that we're working on an organizational plan for that. And so that's all I have to report.
Thank you. Kyle?
I have nothing, Your Honor.
Dean?
Dean, Your Honor, I attended the rec board meeting last night. Not to take all the thunder, but our Organization of the Year Award will be presented at the Fremont County School District 25 board meeting, which will be next Tuesday, the 13th of December. And I believe that meeting starts at 7.
Super. Anything else?
That's it, sir.
Mike?
Again, I was out of town visiting my newest grandchild, so that was awesome. I had to go to California to do it. That wasn't quite as awesome, but I did miss the first 5 below zero weather that we had, so it was really devastating to me. But we enjoyed our week that we got to spend out there with our new grandchild and traveled back and had a good time. And then this last weekend, I got to go see the CWC musical Christmas Story, and they did an amazing job. And I was expecting adults for the most part, but there was a lot of young kids in that production, and they just did an amazing job and put that together, and it was really good. And I'm not an artsy kind of guy, but I thoroughly enjoyed it, so.
Oh, you're kind of artsy.
Artsy.
Lindsay?
I also attended the rec board meeting last night, and he didn't take all of the glory. We will have our meeting in January where people present their applications, and that's on the 16th of January, and that's also at the school board main office there. And me and I attended the senior endowment meeting, and we're still chipping away at repairs at the building as parts come in, but that was all I attended.
Thank you.
Your Honor, I have not attended any meetings recently, but I have been involved in some other things. A couple weeks ago, we had the Christmas tree lighting, which is always so much fun. It's amazing how everybody kind of has their job and it just comes together, and it's so enjoyable, and it's kind of like a Hallmark movie for a couple hours, so it's pretty cool. We also had the Festival of Trees last weekend. I don't know the total, but they did raise a lot of money for CES. One in particular, Teton Athletic Club, they always do an amazing job, and their tree brought an outrageous amount of money this year. It was almost $13,000.
Wow.
So it's just, it totally amazes me what people do in our community and how giving they are. Let's see, Pause, I haven't met with them recently, but they are doing a lot of fundraising right now at the craft fairs. They've got stickers and mugs and T-shirts that they're selling at all the craft fairs. So I would encourage you to go and see what they've got and help support Pause. And that's it.
Thank you. Kyle, Administrator's report, please.
Yes, Your Honor, I'll be brief. This upcoming Friday, we do have Airport Board at 8 a.m. That's not this Friday, but the following. And then this upcoming Monday, we have our Fix Our Roads Citizen Committee meeting. The Airport Board's at 8 a.m. And then the Forest Committee is at 11 a.m., and they're both here at City Hall. We do want to remind folks that we do have several committee openings right now, and we're advertising for the public to submit letters of interest. The deadline for that is December 15th, as mentioned tonight. We need some applications for people to serve on the EDGE Committee, and we encourage those that are interested in economic development to submit a letter. We have some vacancies on the Planning Commission and the Tree Board as well. Again, those are advertised, so we encourage people to submit their letters and participate. I do want to thank Eric Murphy for his service to the City of Riverton, and then also welcome Wes Romero as our interim chief. And appreciate both of them for their service to the police department. We have some good news in the sense that the ice skating rink was filled today. Because Mike Bailey went to California, we have cold enough temperatures this year. So if you remember the last few years, we couldn't get it cold enough to freeze the ice, but that's going to happen this year, and thanks to the Public Works team for doing that. And then I do want to highlight our police department a little bit. There have been public comment recently about traffic and the need for some enforcement. Mr. Romero coordinated a saturation patrol on November 18th, and that was from 4 p.m. Saturation patrol is basically where the majority of our officers participated in getting out in the community and patrolling the streets. From that 4-hour effort, there were 75 stops, traffic stops, 9 arrests, 27 citations, 9 warnings, and 1 DUI. And I want to caveat that we're not looking to find people doing things wrong, but I do think that this shows an effort to be responsive to some of the public comment that has been received as of late. And Your Honor, I will leave it at that.
Thanks, Kyle. I too would like to, Kyle?
Before you say that,
You're up.
No one has said anything about snow removal.
Well, give me a second here.
And they've done a great job on snow removal. But snow removal, be darned, the lighting on Main Street and around the town and those new LED bulbs that we've got and we paid for and everything else, they really make this town look nice and sharp. And you only see it at night. I know it, but it looks so cool and so nice and so inviting. And so thank you, City of Riverton, for caring what you look like after dark.
You saying we look our best after dark?
Yes, some of us we do look our best after dark. Thanks, Kyle, that's a good comment. I got a number of things, and I'll try to be brief so we don't hold over, but I'll go right to that snow removal that Kyle spoke about. I had an interesting opportunity. I was traveling in that storm last Monday and Tuesday, and I drove through Evanston, I drove through Ogden, I drove through Lander, I drove through Farson, I drove through a number of communities, only to find out that Riverton was the one that had the best snow removal and on time. And when I hit Riverton, the streets were clear and it was easy to get around. And my wife even said, you better comment on that. And so I appreciate the staff for what they do. We have the best looking corridors in the entire state. And from snow removal to lighting to the width. And you know, you get down to some cities like Evanston and you wonder how in the world, who laid out Evanston, for heaven's sakes? What a mess. And Riverton really has some great advantages to it. And I appreciate all the efforts that are put forward there. We sold another lot in this last 2 weeks. Another $35,000 was collected for a lot at the airport, which brings that to $390,000 in lots that we've sold in the last 4 years. The hospital, we had a meeting with that, and we have a few hospital people left that we really appreciate. The state SLIB board was kind enough to meet and to give another $10 million to that effort. And so we appreciate the real effort that's been done, courts here and so many others that have spent hours, hundreds, thousands of hours trying to convince and to move that forward. And Kyle's presentation, that's amazing how many jobs we could get out of that and how important that is to us. And thanks for the work that's been done there, because without your efforts, we wouldn't have that. That's hard work. Oh, man. Dean should watch me closer. We did have a bump in the road, and I would like everybody to know about that. The farmers market is struggling with the state's requirements and regulations. And once again, we seem to be overbearing, and we need all the help and support. That facility is making about $1,500 brick and mortar on Main Street a day, and I would encourage you to continue to do your shopping there. And the problem is they don't want them to sell any meat products or any dairy products. And so if you can get engaged in that, I would encourage you to get engaged and to help that go forward. I did get to meet with Kyle in two meetings this week, and I appreciate what Kyle's doing. I think the presentation shows what a good choice Kyle has been for us, and how well he's done, and I appreciate what he does. And so he was the one that suggested that we put forth this half-cent presentation. And the other thing that needs to be pointed out is the city, not me or the council, but the city staff has seen the foresight of getting that money to the individuals on a timely basis. And so we'll get that last $100,000 to the college. Kyle just found the signed agreement. We did sign an agreement, and so we'll get that out. And that's important that that money gets out and it gets into use. And so, thank you very much for your efforts. Kyle and I had a meeting with the Riverton Peace Mission, and Carla Borders Councilwoman Borders was there with us. That went from 5:30 to 8 o'clock. And it was very useful. They wanted us to sign an MOU with them. They wanted the mayor to sign that MOU, and I chose not to do that. And yet, we do want to work with them hand in hand and assist in what we can do to make that successful. I had a unique opportunity. I got a phone call last Friday about 11, and it was the owner of the College View Apartments on the phone. And every one of us that works with the city knows the problems that we have at the College View Apartments. And he asked if he could meet with me, and he was traveling through town, and that he would be in town in half an hour. He was just leaving Lander. So he showed up, and we talked at my office for an hour. And he pointed out that he has dropped the occupancy at the College View Apartments clear down to 60% occupied. That 40%, he is doing his very best to clean up the renters that are applying for those apartments, and doing his very best to comply with the ordinances that we've put in place. And he was from Washington State and served on a city council out there. And he recently moved his entire family from Washington State to Idaho. And he's looking for more projects in rural areas of South Dakota, Wyoming, and Idaho. And I really appreciated that. And he's going to come back, and he wants to talk with the Rotary group and others, and try to be a good supporting member to the city of Riverton. So the other thing that happened today was the DUI task force met again from 9:30 to 11:30 this morning, and we have sufficiently cut the fatality rate. Not that the committee cut the fatality rate, but the fatality rate has diminished in the last year. And I think that has a lot to do with the effort that's been placed on that and the eyes that are looking. And so I think, once again, as we get engaged, we find the opportunity to make changes and things happen. And so I would encourage that to continue, and I appreciate those opportunities. Once again, I would be remiss if I didn't thank Chief Murphy for the success that he's put forward in the years that I was on the council prior and the years that I was the mayor. And I really do appreciate his efforts. I know that Captain Romero, the acting chief, will do a wonderful job, and I had a meeting with him also this last week, and I appreciate his information. You know, I find this throughout the staff. With Mrs. Harris years ago, we had a bump in the road, and all the fingers pointed towards her, and it wasn't fair. And instead of locking her step up and not participating, she got engaged, and she took the past due accounts from 400, 300 range down to 30. And we couldn't have done it without your efforts. And that's just what we need. And the same thing has happened with the recent complaints. We'll always have complaints. There's just no way that we won't have complaints. But we have 125 traffic stops in the last week. And if people want traffic stops, we're more than glad to provide them. And we must need them because they don't pull anybody over that doesn't need it. And I do appreciate our police force. They are exceptional. And the men and women that serve on the north side of our building do a wonderful job. And they are dedicated to the service of Riverton, Wyoming. And so I know we'll have a change there, and I look forward to that, and I think that that's a opportunity that lays in front of us. With that said, I don't have anything else to add. We are going to go to an executive session. We will ask for a motion to adjourn into that session, and then if we would take 5 to 10 minutes before we go in there, we could say thanks to who's left here tonight and proceed from there. The chair would entertain a motion to convene into executive session for the purpose of litigation, considering litigation which our governing body is or may be party in accordance with Wyoming State Statute 16-4-405 AIII and personnel, consideration of appointment, employment, right of practice, dismissal, complaints, or charges against a public officer, professional person, or employee in accordance with State Statute 16-4-405 AII, and for the purpose of considering offered tenoring wages, salaries, benefits, or terms of employment during negotiations in accordance with the State Statute 16-4-405 AX.
So moved.
Second.
Councilwoman Cox has the motion and Councilman Bailey has the second. Mike hasn't been able to get in on anything but the seconds tonight, so you're going to have to up your game. Any discussion?
Your Honor, I think Court would like to come up and address the council before we,
Oh, good. Court, would you tell us what you know?
I can read his mind.
I'm still trying to figure out when you can speak at these meetings, but just before you guys go into executive session, I want to let the council and the staff, the city of Riverton, I think I've met maybe with everybody in here at least one time over the last 4 years, but thank you for your support in our hospital project. We have a lot of our board here tonight, and especially thank you, Mayor Guard, for your support these last 4 years. There was a lot of people didn't believe in us when this first started, but you were there from the beginning, and we really appreciate that. Members of the audience, a lot have taken off, but I've met with a lot of them too, but the EDGE committee and just, you know, it's just, Mary, you were alluding to it earlier. You know, you're either staying the same or getting better, and I feel like, you know, with this half-cent economic development tax and all the work from all the citizens in our community, we've gotten better, and just excited about the future of Riverton and where we're headed, but we couldn't have done it without all of your guys' support. It took all $880,000 to get that done, and we're excited. We got that $10 million a couple weeks ago, and I thought, man, we'll just start building right away, but I had a meeting today, and there's more work to be done before we get going, and but we're excited. We have the money there. It's in place, and we're ready to go. So I just wanted to say thank you on behalf of our board who's here tonight for all your hard work, and Mayor Guard. We're sad to see you go, but we're excited about the future of Riverton and where we're headed. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Court. So we're still at the discussion stage of that motion. Does anybody else have anything to add? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. The chair would invite Kyle and Kristen to attend the executive session, and we'll have a short interim before we go for about 5-10 minutes. Thank you. Might need the box, might need the box that goes back.
Be ashamed to get that dirty.
The chair would entertain a motion to reconvene into regular session.
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Pronto has a motion. Councilwoman Cox has a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. We reconvene into regular session at 9:50. Action item out of executive, the chair would entertain a motion to.
Your Honor, I would move that we direct the Human Resources Director and staff to begin the process of advertising for full-time Chief of Police position.
Kristen, you moved chairs. Did you get all that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Councilman Bailey has a motion. Councilman Peranto has a second. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. We stand adjourned at 9:51, unless there's an objection.
Thank you.
Objection.